Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to talk to you about our next guest. Dr. Rick Chromey is an author, speaker, historian, professor, and pastor. Wow. His life mission is to help people interpret history, navigate culture, and explore faith to create trusted and transformative change. He's authored over a dozen books, including his most recent work titled Gen Tech, an American story of technology, change, and who we really are, 2020. In 2017, he founded MANA, Educational Services International, a faith-based organization that serves leaders, teachers, pastors, and parents with inspirational EDU trainment. Welcome to the show today.
It's kind of hard to say that word edutainment, isn't it? But thank you for that introduction. That was wonderful. It's just like I wrote it for you. Wonderful. Well done.
It is just like you wrote it. And you are highly educated and highly decorated with your amazing gifts and skills that you're bringing into this wonderful world here on planet Earth. You're helping a lot of people. And so what is it that you want to like hit home today with the stories of hope? What do you want to inspire us with today?
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for having me on today. And I love this idea of just inspiring with stories of hope, because that's my story. I was a kid. I'm from central Montana, out in the middle of nowhere. And I had kind of a rough start to life, just born on the wrong side of the tracks, lower middle class family, trucker dad, waitress mom. And, I had a lot of things going against me and in life. But I got to tell you, I went to school and I had my first teacher. Her name was Mrs. Haruska. And Mrs. Haruska, she was German, as I recall. She was this wonderfully, I thought she was like really, really old. I mean, she had to be at least 677 years old when I met her, but I found out later she just passed away, I think 10 years ago. So she was probably in her maybe late 20s, even early 30s, but she seemed old to me for sure. Anyway, Mrs. Haruska was someone that you could just you could really gravitate to. And I remember her lap. She was kind of a hefty woman, if I can use that word properly. But she was literally I think she could get the entire kindergarten class on her lap. And because I always felt like I was on her lap and she was reading to me and just to me, which I loved. But the story that really guides my life, Cornelia, that I want to communicate, and I didn't hear these words from her specifically. I don't remember a thing Mrs. Haruska said to me. It's the power of words that I want to communicate to you today. Mrs. Haruska told my mother at a parent-teacher conference that when it came down to me, as far as who I was and what she saw me doing, she kind of put a prophecy on my life. She just said, little Ricky, he's just really very creative. He's very energetic. He's enthusiastic. And I think he's going to do something great with his life. I don't know what that is, of course, but I think that he's got what it takes to do something great. And it doesn't, if he'll just never take no for an answer and just really plow through a lot of those obstacles in life, he can do great things. Now, again, I never heard her say that to me. And my suspicion is she may have said that to other parents that particular night. But my mom held on to that. And she kept that vision in front of me my entire life. I remember a few years later, I had a teacher. I was in class, it was maybe second grade, and she looked at me and she saw my last name. She knew where I was from in town. We were a small town. And she said, "Your last name starts with a C. And guess what? That's all you're ever going to be in life." That was basically how she communicated to me. I thought, whoa. But you know what the thing was? I said, "No, ma'am, that's not true. That's not what Mrs. Haruska says." See, the tape was already rolling that those critics out there, they couldn't beat what my teacher had already taught me, what she'd already put into my life. I'm actually only 5'4". I have to say that because when I was in high school, I was kind of one of those angry kids. I had a lot of bad breaks in life with my mom, and my mom abandoned the family. She was an alcoholic and drug addict, and everything kind of went wrong. But I wanted to play football. And the football coach looked at me and said, "You're too small to play football. You're too small for," in fact, what he said was, "You're too small to play defensive line," which is where I wanted to play. I wanted to play on defense. And he said, "No, you're too small." And in my mind, I kept hearing, "No, no, Mrs. Haruska says I can play this. I'm going to play this." And to this day, it may not be true anymore, but at least as long ago as 10 years ago, I was still the smallest starting defensive end in the history of Montana State high school football. I'm the Rudy Rudiker of Montana, you might say. And but that whole frame is what guided my life. Academically, when people said that I was not smart enough, when it came to doing the work that I do, people said, "You're not skilled enough. You can't do this." Mrs. Haruska's message: he can do something great if he just puts his nose to it, if he just sticks to it, if he believes in himself, even when nobody else does. And that's my inspiring message of hope. That it is. And I share that with teachers, especially. If you're a teacher out there, you have the power to groove a life for life.
How old were you? First of all, this is one of the best stories I've ever heard. I just want to
Yeah.
say, one of the best stories I've ever heard. And I've heard a lot, but it's definitely one of the best. And because it's so true that Mrs. Aruska, she was conditioning you with, all the way from the time you were a young man, young boy. How old were you in her class?
Well, kindergarten class, I would have been 5 years old. I mean, I think that's about where I was at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is so important, ladies and gentlemen, is that, children are so open and susceptible between the ages of 0 and 7, where we're so vulnerable. And that's when all conditioning happens. So you were conditioned by your teacher that was telling you this incredible truth, and that served you so well in all the areas of your life. And
I actually dedicated my doctorate to Mrs. Haruska because when I got that, a lot of people said, you're not smart enough to do this." I was an average student. I nearly flunked out of my first year of college. I had no grade. I had no academic abilities. I went to college, and I was just in high school, though. I was involved in so much. I wasn't the smartest kid on the block, but what I did was I used the different things, my skill sets. I was an actor, I was a speaker, I was a writer, all those things. That's what I used. I was an artist. Those are my gifts. And no, I wasn't going to play football. That wasn't going to be a scholarship for me. But I had a full ride scholarship to act, for example. I had a theater scholarship, could have used. It's Mrs. Haruska set me for life, Cornelia. And I just love sharing that story with you and your listeners because it can change a life. Still does.
yeah, I just think this is important, so important for young parents, for people that are thinking about becoming parents, uh, for even the parents that are now today that have conditioned their children and the change that they can make, and then even you personally conditioning, unconditioning,
Yeah.
believing in yourself and undoing some of that old programming. And it's a wonderful story of how important it is when we are that young and how open and vulnerable we are, and that Mrs. Aruska set you up for life with her nurturing, her believing in you. It just takes that one, doesn't it? That one person.
It takes, you know what I've learned is it takes not just, it takes one usually in everything.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I've learned, this might be the podcast that breaks me loose with my message. I've written this book, that on Gentech that I think is probably the best book I've ever written, but it was released in the middle of a pandemic and publishers just, there was no way to promote it. All my booking tours, everything got canceled. It was a terrible year for me, but I got to tell you, I'm finding on these podcasts the opportunity to share who I am, my passion, my ministry, and what I do, the life that God and my has led me to. It's wonderful, and I'm just grateful. That's the biggest thing I carry away from this. I'm just grateful. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh my God, Dr. Rick Chromey. We definitely want to have you back. We want to introduce you to some of our other podcast hosts and definitely make those connections for you so that you can share your message even more. I want to let the audience know where they can find your work and your information on social media.
RickChromey.com is the best place to start. That just RickChromey.com. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. You can look me up there as well. My job and my mission every single day is just to inspire people to be the very best version of themselves.
That is definitely what you're doing. And I also want to talk to you about being featured in our app, the Kornelia Stephanie Media Group app that features the leading world's best entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, pastors, doctors, healers in their field. So definitely we'll have to make that connection with you and Ashley so we can have a further conversation about that. But Dr. Rick Chromey, CHROMEY.com, rickchromey.com. Go check it out, everybody. This is a very inspiring story, one of the best I've heard. Thank you for coming on the show today. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. So, my next guest is living in Bangkok. It's 6 a.m. in the morning there. I love how technology works. We can do these amazing shows, giving you the stories of hope, just like this, that we can meet with someone from around the world. I always love that. Let me introduce you to Miss L.J. Jones. She is a British international therapist, a speaker, and a writer. Her upcoming memoir, self help book, Hustler to Healer, I definitely have to get a copy of that, will launch early in 2022, in which she shares raw details of how she used personal hardships, such as a narcissistic abuse, to carve an extraordinary destiny for herself, her daughters, and the hundreds of people that she has counseled globally. LJ, lives in China during the pandemic before recently moving to Bangkok, Thailand, where she continues her healing and empowerment mission in the forms of one-on-one counseling, conscious parenting workshops, and women's retreats in stunning Thai villas. I love it. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Cornelia.
God, the incredible work that you're doing from healer to hustler, from hustler to healer.
Yes, it's been quite a journey. I always think of it as a timeline. And I was speaking with someone else the other day, and the reason why I was so excited to come on this show is just your title and yourself. So, stories that inspire hope. That is literally another way of my book title being expressed.
Yeah,
it just went so right.
But you know what? Your title will sell the book, because from hustler to healer, that is very engaging, and it's also provocative. And right away, it has me interested. So I do this kind of work also, aside from these podcasts. So that title is definitely going to draw me in. It's going to draw the audience in too. So give us a little bit of a backstory, the hustler. I want to hear it. So a little bit of the hustler to healer story.
So, yes, I left school really young, not interested in education at all. I was just really mischievous, probably very self-sabotaging habits when I look back now and as I write about in my book. Bringing that forward into, early adulthood, I watched my father pass at age, I was 22.
Mm.
And went through several hardships until I was in a place in 2010 that I was a single mum to a baby. She was 11 months old and a 7-year-old. And I left a very traumatic relationship whereby I found myself with, I had everything and then suddenly nothing. So no house, no car, literally nothing, not even the furniture. I was probably as low as what low could be, and I was still in my 20s, mid 20s. But yeah, the story which I always hope inspires others, and so far it has proven to, is that I just had this fight and I had this self belief and this determination to do better, even if it wasn't just for myself, it was for my daughters. So yeah, I went into higher education, I juggled, I did absolutely anything I could to get by until I became a qualified therapist in 2016. So there was this timeline, which when I look back now, I do remind people that it's not always been where I am now. Like I fought and fought. And, I had several people literally look me in the eye and say, oh, you'll never become a counselor. You won't do the work that's required. You won't stick to that. We have
Wow.
those people. And what I always say is that really worries me for the people who are told these things, but believe them. There
Mhm.
was something inside me that thought, right, watch me. I won't stop until I do. So moving that forward, became qualified in 2016, and then it kind of was quite a lot of years what I describe as healing and rising. And this is what I tell my clients: you have to do the healing before you can rise, or else it will come back and bite you on the derriere at some point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of just didn't stop then. And as I was discussing with someone the other day, once you remain positive, once you begin that work, things just do align, things just do fall into place. So I then thought, I'm going to take this to the top. So I then did a psychology degree, set myself some goals, which was that I'm going to live in Thailand, I'm going to be a speaker, I'm going to provide conscious parenting and really make a difference in other people's lives. And yes, last year, a lot of my dreams came true. I moved to Beijing, which was incredible. And whilst traveling across China as a single mother, I'm now being paid to live in these amazing countries. I'm now being paid to stand on a platform and re-educate parents and re-educate people on narcissistic and physical abuse. So yeah, I feel like it really is a story of going from hustling and doing absolutely anything I can to get by and provide for these little girls, to being in a place where people are now paying me and asking me and showing me that respect to share what I've done. So it feels like quite a story at this stage. But yeah, because of the pandemic, we had to leave China because the borders was closed. So again, this summer I found myself back in probably the most similar place I've been in to 2010, where I was like, I was back in the UK, and I was like, I've got no house again, I've got no car because I'd got rid of it all to move overseas. But this time this is temporary. I now have this qualification, I now have this experience and these foundations that I've built. And yeah, pursued my dream again in Thailand, which is where I am now.
And what a success story. I'm so, so inspired by your determination and your persistence to rise above all of the perceived limitations that were put before you or that were projected onto you, no doubt, by those people that were saying, oh, you'll never do anything. And, that's very inspiring. And now you're giving back to the people that you're serving, the women that you're serving, the people that you're helping with the work that you're doing. And also you're preparing greater environments for your daughters to live in a better world than the way in which they were born, because they are the future leaders of our world, and it's our responsibility to make this world a better place. And we can't do it with the same behaviors and consciousness that we have created it in. We have to rise above it, like you said. Not only did you do that, but you also, when you're a world traveler like yourself, you're not only just dealing with your own culture, but you're also dealing with other cultures as well, that you're coming into the shadow of all of that as well. And I'm sure you had you had to experience some polarity differences around all of that as well. So that really says a lot about you and the work that you're doing, and how anyone would benefit in working together with you. I love hearing that you're telling me that people are now paying you to come and travel and speak and educate and do all of the things while you've created your dream life. So tell us about the women retreats in Thailand. Are you
Yes.
where in Thailand? So I was going to go to Phuket. Are you close to Phuket?
So I live in Bangkok, which is 10-hour drive or a 1-hour flight from Phuket. But one of the retreats next October is in Phuket in a stunning villa. It doesn't look real; it's so beautiful. And yes, it's a collaboration of, I still say, like-minded, because women can be from all different walks of life, cultures. They can have different hardships, different successes. But we have a lot of fundamental core values and wants and desires, and it is a collaboration of fabulous women from around the world who come together to grow, to heal, to rise. And women can be successful, women can be beautiful and strong, but scratch the surface and people have that growth. And being in that environment, which we do yoga, meditation, group therapy work, we watch the sunrise and the sunset together. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, when you do you already have your flyer out for that retreat in October? Or?
I do, yes, and it's going to be on my Instagram page. We've just been finalising the villa, which I have just chosen. So
Yeah,
yes,
what is the venue? I'm curious.
it's what, sorry?
What's the venue? Where's the venue? I'm curious. Do you
So
know?
it's in Phuket. It's like jungle theme, but still by the ocean. So I found it was really important that we could do yoga meditation whilst watching nature and sunrise and sunsets. So yes, we have got the ocean. We've got the fun that Phuket brings, because it's also a city. So we have everything going on in the background, but we're in this little holistic haven, if you will.
Yeah, and I love, Phuket, because from what I've heard is that Phuket, there's such an honoring of the divine feminine energy. And that is really, really important, where women can really truly feel safe, and that the men there, they actually honor and respect the divine feminine energy as well. So there's a lot of honoring going on, which is a very great for you choosing that place. So we definitely, I want to hear about, I want to see the flyer come through. So definitely connect us. And we want to talk to you further about having you featured in our, since you are a world traveler, in our Kornelia Stephanie Media Group app, which features the world's best leading entrepreneurs in our app. So make sure that you connect with Ashley again so that we can have further conversations around that. But let's give the audience an opportunity to find you on social media. Where's that going to be?
Okay, so I post quite a lot of videos and content and engage with people on my Instagram, which is Design Your Destiny. It's got the underscores, which is always quite difficult on Instagram, but they will find me there. I also have a Facebook platform and my website, first and foremost, as well as fundamental. So www.designyourdestiny.online.
Yes, designyourdestiny.online. And so there's no excuses. All the tools, all the resources are here. You've got a world-class educator right here to support you to create your destiny. And when like you've been there, you know what it's like when you have nothing left and then you begin from that place. And so it's an honor and a pleasure that you came to the show today, LJ. I'm so glad you said yes. I wish you so much success and thank you for coming. Thanks everybody for listening and tuning into the Kornelia Stephanie Show. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. For you. And we look forward again to see you next time on the Stories of Hope. Take care. Bye-bye. You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.